Oh, there we go. Start streaming.
Oh boy. I think
Here should
we're
be full
live.
screen. And let me see if it'll do it. It should.
Cue the intro.
Wow. It actually did it. That's awesome.
Let me replay.
You're live
There
in
we go.
3, 2, 1.
If you are, Sean.
I'm ready when you are, sir.
Yeah, I'm streaming already.
All right. Very nice.
Cool.
I ran the intro on my channel. Feel free to do so on yours if you need to.
Oh yeah, I might need to do that. Here's our intro.
Sweet
Sounded
jams.
like it was kind of choppy on my end, but that's okay. That's okay. We're not professional here at all. Hello, my name is Jonathan.
I'm Sean.
Welcome to episode 8. Can you believe it? Of Only Frets.
Rolling right
So
along,
you know,
brother.
rolling right along, chugging right along, whatever you want to say. Yeah, you got Old Faithful in your lap. It looks like.
I do. I do. I've got my 78 Les Paul Deluxe, and it's plugged into my new Donner board, courtesy of Electric Flamingo, running through the Pocket Master. And on Friday night on my live stream, we could go through the whole rig. But I did just drop a video yesterday morning that kind of shows the build and all that stuff. So
Sweet.
yeah, man, what do you got today?
So this one is going to be kind of a good segue into our first topic. This is an LTD M200 FM. So it's an
Ooh,
older model. I think they still make these, but this is from 2008, so it's a neck through model, which is really cool. FM meaning flame maple, so it's got a flame maple top on it. Can't really see it because it's black, but it's beautiful nonetheless. Plays great. Just some crappy playing as always. But yeah, it plays great, neck through, so there's no like bolt on the heel down there, nice and smooth.
nice.
And kind of going into our first topic, I got this bad boy on a trade. And that was a positive experience with selling gear privately versus selling in a shop, which is kind of what not this guitar, not this transaction, but it's one that I'm actually going to try to redo today, inspired this topic. And I felt like it would be nice to ask, what do you prefer, selling privately via Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Reverb, I guess if that's privately, you name it, versus taking it to Guitar Center and just saying, give me what you think is fair, Mr. Guy behind the counter that probably has never played music in his life. Tell me what you think is fair
Right.
for this thing that I love. So I guess I'll throw it to you. What if you were to sell gear? I know you said you don't really sell gear too much, but I do that a lot. What would you prefer, private or just drive by your local shop and say, "Here's
Ooh.
this, give me money"?
Okay, well, we can break that down real quick. Want to say hi to Keith, Amanda, and Brian, searching for tone. Keith and Brian both run their own channels, so if anybody's here, definitely go check those out. Amanda Coombs, the mod to the stars, is here. So thank you guys for showing up. As far as what where to sell, what the best. I mean, I think we can all agree your best return is always going to be private sale.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think we can agree that the most hassle is always going to be private sale.
That's the trade-off, exactly.
Right. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to sell my Jeep right now. I have a '08 Jeep Patriot. I'm trying to sell it. It's kind of broken. It could use some love. But either way, I'm trying to sell it. I just have it sitting on my parents' backyard with a for sale sign by the highway. And
Mm,
like that's all the work that I want to put into it. It's
right.
like my phone number's there, somebody can call me. When it comes to like selling guitars, I feel like the equivalent to
Sorry.
like say the pawn shop would be like, pick and pull. Like if you sell your car to a pick and pull and they break it all down, tear it all down or whatever, that'd be like the equivalent to going to a pawn shop. Like the worst amount of return, uh, and pretty little hassle realistically. Like pawn shop, most cases will take whatever. Um, but you just get nothing in return. Going to a guitar shop, you can get decent return if you spend money back into the store. But if you're selling for cash, you're getting pawn shop money. And
Yep.
then private sale, it's all cash. It's the best return, but it is just so mentally painful. Um,
Yeah.
and then there's online, guys Brian mentioned Reverb. You can get hosed online as well. Or,
Yeah.
it can go really well. It just depends.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. See, and my thing is I've gone because you always hear the horror stories of like getting ripped off at Guitar Center and pawn shops. To me, have I ever sold to a pawn shop? I don't think I've ever sold to a pawn shop. If I have, it's beyond me. But I don't think I've ever bought from a pawn shop either. But I digress. Pawn shops can be no, I have bought from a pawn shop. I'm getting off topic. Um,
It's on topic.
yeah, it's on topic, but
It's
it's
on
whatever.
topic.
But so yeah, pawn shops can be hit or miss because obviously they deal with everything. You know, golf clubs, lawnmowers, guitars. It's like they're going to probably know a little bit about everything, be like a jack of all trades kind of deal. With Guitar Center, that's such a double-edged sword to me because I always look at Guitar Center as they're the ones that kind of maybe set the market, but they're also looking at like reverb and stuff, which kind of also sets the market. But whenever I'm looking for something, I always check Guitar Center first or Musician's Friend, that used market, because generally speaking, they're going to have the stuff marked down a little bit more than someone selling it privately because you can ask for whatever you like, but to me it's like, am I making sense? Kind of do I feel like I'm on a
Yeah,
tangent? It's when you're shopping around, I always tend to start with Guitar Center or go based on like what they're selling it for versus what I'll ask for it, because I
right.
feel like if Guitar
There's a
Center is going to
markup.
sell this
Yeah,
for $200, like maybe I can sell it for like maybe 200, maybe 220, and then you can kind of gauge, or like I'll take 180 for, or whatever. It's an easier way to negotiate because then people can't say, well, I can go to Guitar Center and get this. It's like, yeah, but I'm offering it here. You know what I'm saying? So you have that little bit of a negotiation kind of tool under your belt.
yeah,
But the one thing that I like, obviously, with Guitar Center is 9 times out of 10, if you got something that they see value in, which is hard to say because I've seen some absolute junk on there. I'm like, why did you buy that?
yeah,
But if you have something of value, you can most times take it in there. They'll look at it, give you an amount, and you walk out happy. If you just need the money. Selling privately, as what happened with me recently, it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. Is you'll get somebody message you, and you'll talk to them like, oh yeah, this is cool, blah 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 blah. You drive all the way to meet them, and then as you're pulling into wherever you're going to meet, they say, oh, by the way, I have something that I forgot I have to do in like 10 minutes. So can you do tomorrow? And I'm like, I'm here. You didn't tell me this 20 minutes ago before I got in
right.
the car and drove out here. So you get, flaked on or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I'm hopefully going to go round two today and meet this guy and sell what I'm trying to sell um, shortly after this live stream.
I
Maybe.
hope
Who
so
knows?
too,
So
brother.
we'll see if I get flaked again. But,
Take your
but
taser.
yeah. Yeah, I know it. Always meet in a public place too. I meet
Yeah,
in a quick trip.
that's right.
So
Now,
it's a quick trip that I always meet at.
I like, um, I bought and sold on Craigslist before, and I will say like 90% of the experiences have been fine. I mean, it's always a little weird and awkward, but for the most part, it's gone really well. And I've had really good experiences buying online, but I'm not much of a seller. Like you mentioned, you haven't really bought or sold too much at pawn shops. I've basically, given my age and what year it was when I was 20, there was no
Mm,
Craigslist. There was pawn shops. I mean, that's
right.
how that's how you bought and sold gear, or that's how you sold gear. And yeah, and that's how you bought it too. You go into a pawn shop. And so I'm kind of still, that has kind of been ingrained in me a little bit, as far as I always check out the pawn shop for stuff that's laying around. Um, but I don't sell gear anymore, and that was a point Keith just made. My rule: never sell gear ever. I just get the things I know I will use and need, and don't bother with the stuff that won't work out. However, others, especially with gear channels, can't do that. So he understands where you're coming from, and that's a good thing. I don't really get rid of stuff, but if I did, I don't also live near a guitar center. So there's like a pawn shop within driving distance of my house. And then if I want to hit a guitar center, it's an hour drive, which is fine. But I haven't had that great of experience going into Guitar Center, but I'm also like, what, more seasoned as far as what to expect from them. I basically, if I go in there and you have a guitar they can sell for 300, you need to expect to get like 200, because they want to
Yeah.
make $100 on anything that comes through
Right.
the door.
And
Minimum.
that's fair. They gotta make a profit.
They have
It's the same thing with a
overhead.
pawn shop.
Yeah, they're
People
paying
say,
somebody's
yeah, people
paycheck.
say, right. And people sit and say the same thing about pawn shops. Oh, they'll rip you off. Don't take them there. It's like my general rule, because this is just how it works too, for anybody that's curious. If you're going to go to a guitar center, do your research,
Yeah.
because I've walked in more times than not knowing exactly what they're going to offer me. And if anything, surprised that they're offering me more. So what you do is, if I was going to sell this, for example, I would get on there and look up LTD M200, blah 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 blah, and see first off how many they have on there. Check your local store too, because if they have 5 of these hanging on the shelf, they're probably not going to buy it because they can't move those 5 they got now. Just simple things. Check and see what they're listed for. If they have this listed for, $100, let's just say for easy math, you can expect to get at least 60%,
Yeah.
or I would say at max 60% of what they're listing it for. So if they have these regularly on there for $100, you can walk in there knowing that the most you're probably going to get is $60.
Yeah. If they
That's
have none of them on the wall.
if they have none of them on the. Now, if they
Yeah.
have like one or two, okay, but yeah, or if they have like a huge use section and stuff's not moved. Like if I
Right.
walk into my local guitar center, which I say local, but it's like you, it's about 35, 40 minutes away, something
Sure.
like that. Um, if I were to go in there once a month and I see like the same shit on the wall, like don't go sell more stuff then, because they got to move that stuff and they're probably not going to take what you have. Fortunately, I've not really run into that problem. Um, they seem to have a pretty good rotating stock, so um, I think I've only ever been turned down from selling something twice,
Yeah.
because one time I was trying to sell a 412 and nobody will buy a 412.
Well,
Nobody buys 412 cabinets
yeah,
anymore.
it's not the moment for the 412 right now.
Right.
Um, the one thing I will say though is they're very fair on their trade. Uh,
Mhm.
so if you're looking to get something else and you have something that's kind of nice, you're gonna get, basically, they will give you, what, like 85% of what they'll sell that guitar for on trade. It's a
Right.
huge jump. You get like 25% more return on your money if you're going to
Right.
use that money in store. So that's a nice thing that they do, that pawn shops don't really do. Although if you ask a pawn shop, they may do that and be like, hey, I want the hollow body up there on the wall. What do you give me for this Strat in trade? You know, and a lot of pawn shops will work with you in that way too. But there was a music store in Portland, Oregon, right just around the block from my house where I used to live, the rental I was in when I was like 23. And I used to go there. It was called Trade Up Music, and they were pretty good about their name. Like if I had something that I had, so like one time I bought a keyboard for recording purposes, but I didn't want the keyboard. I just needed one for a little bit. I bought a keyboard for $100. And like 2 weeks later, after I was done recording with it, I took it back down there and traded it for a $100 Epiphone bolt-on neck special for $100. I paid no money. They traded me. They knew that I had paid $100 for the keyboard, so they
Right.
just traded me straight across for the $100 guitar, and that was pretty cool. So there are some, mom and pop shops that do things a little differently and have a little more wiggle room, whereas somebody like Guitar Center basically has a standard that they go by. Every shop does it the same way, and
Right.
every once in a while, a sales clerk will make a mistake and you'll get like an extra $100 on trade where you shouldn't have, or something like that. But,
Right.
it's just like, to me, buying gear is the fun part. Selling gear is always sounds terrible to me, just for the sheer
Yes.
mental gymnastics of it.
Yeah, it's definitely a hassle. I got somebody in my chat too. I think that says the world needs a hero. So, hello. Sorry,
Yes, it
my
does.
screen is over there. But he says I'm the same way. Growing up with no marketplace or Craigslist, you are really dating yourselves here.
Yeah, we're old as shit.
Also, the nearest Guitar Center is for me is a 3-hour drive, buddy. Where
Oof,
do you live?
that
Where
is
you have
tough,
Guitar
Brody.
Center is 3 hours away from you. That's tough. That's a special occasion drive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like we're going to Guitar Center, we're hitting like a big box grocery store like a Costco or something, and
Right.
and we're going out for a nice dinner or something like that. Like hitting
For
three things,
yeah,
making a day of it.
right. That's like a day trip. Goodness
Yeah.
gracious.
Mm,
Yeah,
tough.
but see, and another benefit of like kind of what you were talking about, where you traded that kind of thing, is if you're knowledgeable on what you're looking for, and this is part of the reason I look kind of every day or multiple times a day because they kind of refresh it throughout the day. Aside from the fact that I have a problem, I think is that you can try to find. Sometimes they'll list things on there for like they'll mislabel stuff,
Yeah.
and it doesn't happen very often. But the one example that I always like to turn to is I got a Jackson. It was a made in Japan Jackson. It was a DK. Was it a DK2M? I think is what it was called. Excuse me. And it's the like a dinky with the maple headstock. So it's
Oh,
maple
nice.
fretboard, maple
I
headstock.
remember the video about that.
Right. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
did a video on that, and that was my first experience with the made in Japan Jackson stuff. And what I was doing was I was just doing my normal scroll and saw it. I was like, that looks weird. Like, what is that? And I looked and researched it, and I finally found it. And I was like, oh, I'm getting that because I think
Yeah.
that's whatever. And I got it, really cool. And I ended up taking it back and selling it to Guitar Center, not the same Guitar Center, but selling it to Guitar Center, and then walking out with like an extra $150
Dang, dude.
because those things sell for like on Guitar Center, they sell used for $500.
Like immediately too.
So like it's immediate profit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I got a video out of it. I got a cool guitar I can play for a little bit, and then I made a profit. Not that I'm not that I'm like a flipper,
Right.
but if I see an opportunity, I mean, I'm gonna jump on it.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, I think anybody will do that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Quick shout out, Jimmy Bitter is or was in the chat. Jimmy Biter, sorry. Jimmy is part of a live to YouTube jam group called OU812, and anybody who's not checking that out, I'm pretty sure everybody in my chat knows about them, but OU812, they do backing track jams, and there's usually like 4 or 5 of them, and these dudes freaking shred. Super nice guys. They respond in the chat the whole time. Yeah, Jimmy's still here. Right on, man. Jimmy can shred. Um, so Jonathan, they're doing one tonight, I think. Tonight, Tuesdays and
Nice.
Sunday. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, so it's Thursdays, Tuesdays, and Sundays. So you get like 3 chances, and Sunday is a community jam where like
Nice.
you could go on and jam to a backing track or something like that. So I want to try and jam with them sometime, but Sundays are tough for me. So one more
Right.
quick thing. Mark Spurgeon, who's usually here, had his surgery. And yes, I agree with you, Amanda. I hope he is watching and just can't chat. I have not talked to him. I've been checking my Facebook messages, but hopefully his surgery went well. We're all hoping for the best for Mark. Anyway, uh did you have a second topic you wanted to jump on, Jonathan?
Yes, I do, but I have more chat on my side
Oh,
too.
let's hit
Same
it.
guy, the world needs a hero. Yeah, he clarified. He said he's in, is that Yuma, Arizona?
Yeah,
I think so he said
correct.
that?
Correct.
Yeah. So he says the nearest one's in either San Diego or Phoenix.
Ooh,
So
yeah, Yuma's
just to
out there.
clarify, yeah.
It's a sweet place though. I mean, that's a cool like rural part of the country, but it is pretty my
Yeah.
cousin lives in Scottsdale, so I'm vaguely
Nice.
familiar, but yeah. Yeah, that's
My
out
only
there.
connection with Arizona is I've shipped a guitar to Arizona once. I sent a guitar out to Zim's Guitars
Yeah.
once. And then he also asked, "Have you ever tried out the Chroma console?" I have not. I've never even heard of that.
Me either. I believe it's quite a bit like our Pocket Masters that we're playing through today, but
Oh.
a little beefier as far as I. Oh no, it's a pedal. It's a pedal.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's that one with all the knobs. Rhett Scholl has one, and it's like his favorite pedal ever. And it has like
Huh.
all the different colors, and it does all kinds of crazy stuff. It's out there. It's a good
It
pedal.
says Hologram Electronics makes it.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I might
Uh,
have to check that out. I've been getting more into pedals as time goes on. I'm not a huge pedal person, but yeah, I might have to check that out. That'd probably make an interesting video.
I ordered that not a Dumble, by the way, the JHS
Oh
not a
yeah.
Dumble. Yeah, my kids are gonna make a short channel appearance. I'm gonna have my boys help me build it, because that's kind of the theme of those is like it's so easy a kid could do it. So I'm
Right.
gonna
Yeah.
probably pop them on the video and build one, and that should be a lot of fun. And I'm hoping to get some sweet tone out of it.
You probably will.
I
Not a
probably
Dumbletone though.
Let's see. Stealth
That'd be
says I
cool.
used to buy and sell. Shout out to Stealth for showing up. Thanks, buddy. I used to buy, sell, and trade a lot some years ago. I can write a book on how people are on marketplace, eBay, and other. I'm sure you can, brother.
Yeah.
That's funny. And then Keith says every time he goes into Guitar Center, it's always messy, like they're liquidating or something.
Well, with the impending doom of bankruptcy like seemingly looming over their head all the time.
Right?
I don't know though, but I've seen a lot of stuff recently. I think Phil McKnight did an interview with the CEO where they have like in their headquarters they have like the mock store, which I thought was kind of cool. Um, have you seen that?
Which one?
So Phil McKnight did an interview with the CEO of Guitar Center not that long ago.
Oh,
It's probably like a month or two
I
ago.
didn't see that.
And where they did the interview, I think it's in their headquarters, and they
Okay.
have like a store, like it looks like a one-to-one replica of like any Guitar Center you go into. So there's guitars hanging on the
Yeah.
wall hangers and amps on the floor, and it's like the way that they train their associates. So they'll
Okay.
go in there and it's like this.
Okay.
We want to see what the experience of it's like, and I'm like, that's probably the cleanest damn Guitar Center in the entire nation. Is the one
guys
at the
are
headquarters.
you guys are not training them properly, I don't think. No, I always always love Guitar Center. I guess some of those little idiosyncrasies have stopped bothering me over the years. Like yeah, you go in and they're always moving a display or like,
Oh God, yeah.
and I I don't know why the people that work there can't be motivated to like just start a job and finish it. But I can say it's probably because they're musicians and everybody's half recording an album.
I
And
know.
you know what I mean?
Or
And
they're
it's
waiting to tell
just
their story about how they played with the one guy back in the
yeah.
insert time period here. By the way, the world needs a hero. He said he's got to go, but just so you know, you guys have a new subscriber, so thank you very much if you're still
Thank you,
around.
sir. Appreciate you very much.
Sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to say that before he left, if he hadn't already.
Yeah, BCG, I'm not wearing my sanding mask at the moment because I'm done sanding the laundry room, which means we are getting closer to my Firebird build, which I could not be more excited about.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
you're saying you would do a lot of maintenance on it, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Oh, look at that.
if
Segue.
segue, let's talk about getter maintenance.
Gator maintenance. I got somebody else in the chat too. What is his name? Arthur Sinclair. Sorry, I'm having to lean over there if you're just joining
That's
us.
okay.
He says he put his Not a Dumble together, and it sounds great. So you're
Oh, you
probably in
already
for a
got
treat there.
one? Dang, mine's on the way. I haven't got it yet.
He says he put it together. It sounds great. So
That's
not to
awesome.
brag.
No,
He
not
says
at all. I'm happy
he
for
doesn't
you.
say this. Yeah,
Congratulations.
cool. So another good segue then. So he's putting that together. You finished your laundry room or got that done.
Getting close.
Getting close. Lots of maintenance going on. Guitar maintenance. Do you do a lot of that yourself, or do you? And this is not really the question of the whole topic, but just to start, do you can you do any maintenance? And if you can, what can you do, or do you prefer to take it to like a tech?
Let's put it this way. I
Great way to
do
start.
guitar maintenance like I do my laundry room remodel, which is if I run into anything that's above my capability, I say, this is what I can do that's good enough for me. Like it's good enough for my house is what I always say. That was like a thing I learned when I was doing construction work, but we said good enough for my house, you know. Um, so like a fret file job is basically like if I can take my fret file and knock the ends off and it's not sharp anymore, I don't worry about whether or not it's sitting perfectly just inside of the fretboard like it ought to be. A leveling job is the same. Like, does it still buzz when I hit the 13th fret, or have I taken care of that problem now? So
Right.
I'm comfortable. Well, a lot of my guitars are like the one here, the Flying V, the Strat. A lot of them were bought for the purposes of getting the experience, right? So I can do electrical, like, you know, soldering and stuff like that. And I figured out wiring. I have that down pretty good. You know, oil the fretboard, change the strings, dust the thing off, um, set the intonation. I finally like have kind of figured that out. I'm not as good at it as you are. You know, if anybody wants to know how to set up a Floyd Rose properly, go check out Jonathan's Floyd Rose videos because he does a great job explaining it. I don't have a Floyd Rose, but if I did, those are the videos I'd refer to when I was setting it up. And you know, so I can do some things. I would say my I talked about this in that Nick Perry interview. My and he's the same way. Basically, if it comes to like a refret, I'm out.
Right.
But
100%
anything
agree.
up to a refret, even a snapped headstock repair, to a degree, my woodworking skills from construction and doing finish work and stuff like that, and I know how to use tools, so like power tools and hand tools. So like my kid's headstock on his power players broke, and uh it was one of those breaks where everything could go right back together. There was like, you know, no big chunks of wood missing or anything.
Right.
So I
Yep.
knew from watching headstock videos uh that I could, you know, shout out T Woodford. I knew that it could just go back together with a clamp. So I did that and it works perfectly. So certain things when it comes to working with wood, I'm good with, but a refret, I'm out. I'm out. What about you, sir?
I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't do everything perfectly. I've come to find, because I do a lot of setups and, you know, I guess maintenance is what you would say. But yeah, when it comes to like, for me, it's refrets. It's really like fret work in general, like filing fret ends. I'm kind of getting into that. Like I bought a fret file recently, and I've kind of dabbled in that a little bit.
Yeah.
Broken headstocks or like broken pieces. You know, if I had like I had a flying V once that had broken wing on it, and I tried to glue it back together, and it looked like crap. So I was like, I'm not doing that no more. Um, that's kind of where I draw the line. But I mean, as far as like setups, fret polishes, um, maybe some like body damage aside from like broken pieces, you know, scratches and stuff, I can do all that because I have a background in detailing cars,
Nice.
which I've come to find that if you do things like wax the body, I don't do
Yeah.
that as much anymore, but you can like wax and buff a body of the guitar, and it's gonna do kind of the same thing. Like I've used car wax
Especially
on
poly, right? You know, poly
right, especially
guitars.
poly. Yeah, I mean it'll nice shine it, you know, right up and stuff. Um, but yeah, like as far as maintenance goes, I can do wiring. Floyd Roses, I can set those up, and all this is just like self-taught, watching YouTube videos and stuff, which is kind of me giving back when I make those kinds of videos.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I also think it's interesting because I have a series that I do called "Make Guitar Shred Again." You want to check
Oh
that out? I got
yeah.
a couple of videos on that. Yeah, so I have a series on that, and I've not done a video on that in a while. I have one that I filmed recently that, depending, may be coming out in the next couple months. I don't know.
Nice.
But I like doing those because it's one of those like, let's buy a used guitar, let's see how it is like out of the box and see if we can fix it like live, and I'll show you how I do it. Not live, but you know what I mean. And it literally is just how I got it. Let's see if we can clean it up, set it up, do all that kind of stuff. If it needs a wiring job, oh, perfect opportunity to say, let me show you how to, you know, fix this pickup that came loose. Let me show you how to solder. Oh, this has got a Floyd Rose on it, and the Floyd is sitting up like this. Let me show you how to get it back level and, you know, balance it out and how to tune it and all that other kind of stuff. And I love doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, one of my favorite things to fix on a guitar is the fretboard. Like if it's a dry fretboard or if
Yeah.
it's, you know, frets
So
are dull.
satisfying.
Like I love. Oh my god, it's like it's like I can go to sleep at night like, oh, I oiled that fretboard so good, kind of like your mother.
I've seen
But, you know,
at
I
your
got one
mom's
live.
house.
Got one live.
Got
But
one.
yeah, no,
You
it's
know, it is that is the fretboard. It's like, so if peeling plastics like the if peeling
yeah,
pickguard plastic is the audible ASMR for guitar channels, oiling the fretboard is the visual ASMR for guitar
oh
YouTube.
yeah.
Like nothing is better than like somebody puts Monte Presso all over it and then they wipe it off and then they oil it and it's one half shade darker and you're like, it looks better. Like you do, you know, it just oiling the fretboard is like the most satisfying visual before and after that you can get on a guitar, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you got the people that are like, don't oil your fretboard because it'll pop your frets out, and I'm like,
Yeah.
shut up. That's not. I'm not. I oil
Why
fretboards.
oiling your fretboard is stupid and you're dumb.
Right. It's like it's one of those guitar myths. It's like it's not a myth. It's a product that they make and have made forever. People have done it,
Right.
and it's fine. Now, and I always say too much of anything can be a bad thing, right?
Sure.
I'm sure if you oiled it every week when you change the strings, if that's what you're doing, you'll probably start to see problems. But like twice a year, like that's not going
Yeah.
to do anything.
Spring and fall.
If anything, if you don't oil it and it dries out, you're going to crack your fretboard, and then if it cracks around the frets, then you're going to have a bigger issue. You know,
Saw
you're trying to pull
somebody.
frets on a dry fretboard, you're going to just pull the wood out, and then you ruin your neck.
I saw a channel I love, so I won't berate them for this. Dylan Talks Tone. He
Oh
does.
Jesus
I
Christ!
love.
Don't.
I love
I hate
Dylan.
that guy. I don't
Okay,
like
a
that guy
lot.
at all.
I will say he's mostly like a love or hate type of YouTube
Yes.
personality, but
Yeah.
I kind of love Dylan because he's straight up about his opinion and he is very honest that it's just his opinion. And
Yeah.
he, you know, he feels like he's right, and that's okay. And he doesn't. I don't think he tries to make people feel bad. Like if you want to disagree with him, he'll have the conversation with you and all that stuff. So I like him because he doesn't shy away from the conflict. But he was like, you're not hydrating your fretboard when you oil it. And I kind of was like, well, there's liquid in the oil. Like it's not water, but you
Right.
are moisturizing the fretboard, or i.e. hydrating. Like if you want to argue semantics over what the terminology is, like, yeah, maybe you're technically not hydrating your fret. Anyway, I'm on a tangent, but I get why people would like, I just feel like that content is kind of silly, you know.
Yeah.
It's like,
Give me 1 second, by the way. My camera is flashing at me that the battery's going to die. I need
yeah,
about
I'm
2
gonna
seconds.
address a little bit of the chat
Go
here
ahead and
real
talk.
quick. All right. Tim, right tools fretboard is not too hard to let. Okay. Yeah, I think that's part of my fear is that I don't have the right tools for refretting at the moment. Maybe if I had a press and I had all the, I got a Nomad filing kit or something like that, I'd probably give it a shot on something. That flying V back here, beep, that needs probably not a refret, but it definitely needs a little leveling and crowning. Stealth asks, do you use tube amps? Are you into programs? Right now, I'm kind of right in the middle, Stealth. And Jonathan uses a lot of like little solid state amps, and he also has a tube amp, a Black Star tube amp. I use the Fender GTX 100 for live in the room amplification and for routing that through to what you hear right now. So that's with the volume on my amp cabinet all the way down, but it is sending through XLR into the my interface. So I use physical pedals and digital. I kind of keep one foot on either side of the fence, and my grass is always green. Keep an eye on the humidity. That is correct, Keith. I definitely don't do that like I should. I live in a really arid climate, and I should have a humidifier in the room at all the time. For
I'm back.
Fret, are you back?
I am back. Mark's gas station, by the way, GAS station. Love that name. He says,
Yes.
howdy, folks. Howdy.
Howdy, bro. Howdy, Mark.
Didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to let you
Oh
know.
no, you're okay. We want to make sure we say hi to everybody who comes in. Shout out Stealth Guitar. He runs a YouTube channel as well, and it's a lot of fun. BCG 5150 Guitars channel, awesome. And I saw Tim Baby Boy Mulligan in here. Timothy Baby Boy Mulligan also runs a channel, awesome stuff. And let's see, unlevel V hanging there a little to the left. Well, I think it might be my camera. What if I? No, it's probably the guitar. Chris, I can't help you with your OCD, brother. I can try, but
Sorry,
I
I'm
can't.
having technical difficulties here.
All right, are we good?
I think so.
Jonathan, tube
No.
or
Sorry, what now?
tube or modeling?
Oof. That's a good question. Now, I've never been a huge tube snob. I like modeling just because it gets the job done.
Yeah.
I mean, tubes obviously sound great in their own right. I love my Black Star, like you said. I have the HT5. But modeling, you don't have to replace tubes at some point. Like I've got to replace the tubes in my HD5, and I don't want to do it. I've
Yeah.
never replaced tubes before, so I'm a little scared to do it. But it's one of those things that I just got to jump in and do at some point.
Yeah. I've done it a couple of times. It's not too bad. You know, but I get what you're saying. I mean, frankly, the life cycle of a tube amp, like the lifespan of a tube amp, because of the tubes, because capacitors can be replaced, because that product I can get behind as far as like sustainability is concerned. Like I love a good tube amp because it can be fixed, because it's made like an old television, at your grandma's house, that can be fixed if it breaks. I mean, the whatever it sounds like, it will always sound like, and you can change the speakers if you want, all that stuff, but it's going to sound like it sounds. The thing is that it can be fixed, and that I really like. If my Pod Go breaks, I'm buying a new Pod Go,
Right.
which
Yeah, exactly.
which may or may not be the same amount as, so it's just something that ends up in the dump, which, I don't have anything against the dump. I've been gutting my house for like 3 years, but I just, it's kind of like the thing that I like about tube amps is that they can be fixed, but I don't care about tone enough to like delineate between the two. If I crank this GTX 100 right now, it's going to sound like an awesome amplifier.
Yep.
That's it.
Well, and I mean, depending on if you're playing live, excuse me, if you're playing live, and I think we've talked about this before, most people don't care. I mean, some people have gone through the thing where they're like, oh, there's an iPad on stage, or there's a laptop on stage. They're not a real musician, or they don't have the big wall of 412s, or what. It's like, does it sound good? Okay.
Yeah.
But of course, you got people that are the snobs, and they're like, no, it doesn't sound good. I can tell it's digital, like, or modeling or whatever. Who cares? You probably can't tell that much.
My biggest different the way I tell the difference between a snob and, like, say somebody like Keith, he just says tube all the way here, right? He's not saying, and you're not saying, and I'm not saying, we're all sitting around saying what we use. We're displaying our facts. Like, this is what we use, is why we like them, right? He's not saying, well, modelers are trash and everybody that uses them are trash. Like, that's where you could definitely tell, like, who's a snob about it and who just likes what they like. And I think liking
Right.
what you like is good, and it's variety is the spice of life. It's the reason why we have so many options these days. It's the reason why I'm using a modeling amp with a modeler into it, into you know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
it's awesome. There's so many, and like the amp is not making noise, but my computer is, because it's awesome, because people want options. So I think
Yeah.
it's good to like what you like, mic up your amp, send it through your, whatever you want to do, get your tone, whatever that is. And I don't think anybody's against anything around here for sure. I think if
Right.
somebody
Right.
sent you an awesome tube amp, you'd probably love it and play it for
Oh,
years and
absolutely.
years.
Yeah, I would be extremely grateful if somebody sent me a big nice tube amp, but maybe down the road, who knows?
Shout out
But
Fender.
yeah, I mean, something like right, something like this to get the same kind of results that we get with playing guitar on this, we would have to mic up all this stuff, get all that stuff going. But I mean, with just like the Pocket Master, it's plug and play, and it sounds good.
Yep.
I mean, you can't really debate that doesn't sound good. I forgot I'm not in a drop tuning, sorry. But regardless, you can, you know, I mean, it's got its benefits both ways.
Yeah.
Tubes, obviously, crank a tube amp, there's nothing that sounds like it. I'm not going to sit and say that it's,
No,
not a
it's its
bad
own
thing.
thing
But
for sure.
yeah, but then when you can do the same thing with like an Axe Effects or a Kemper and
Mhm.
it sound pretty close, like almost
96%.
indistinguishable, it's
Yeah.
like, you know,
Then at that point, it's kind of like, what are we arguing about?
right.
It's like, you like that, cool, use it. And then, like, I like this, so I'm gonna use it. And nobody's hurt. Like, my decision to use a modeling amp does not affect Keith's decision to use only tube amps. And
Right.
as long as everybody understands that, there's no online debate. There's no, like, fighting. There's no infighting amongst the guitar community, as long as we all understand that this is the golden era of guitar gear, for
It
sure.
really is. Mhm.
And we all know how to work on our own guitars, which is another thing, bringing it back to the actual point that we were talking about, doing your own maintenance. YouTube has made it incredibly, like, it's made us all incredibly more informed as far as like how to
Yeah.
do tech work. It's like the same way with like car maintenance. So like I know how to fix what's wrong with my Jeep. I just don't have the tools and time or energy to do it. But like, you know, uh with the drywall thing, like I watched a drywall mudding and taping video, and it turned out really good, because if I can watch somebody do something with their hands, I can usually mimic what they're doing with mine. And so like doing your own guitar maintenance, I'd say over the last 10 years, YouTube has saved guitar players probably millions of dollars collectively in guitar maintenance. Taking your guitar down there and spending $60 on a fret job or $100 on a fret job when you can do it yourself.
Or a restring.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just restringing. Right. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
another hot topic. How do you restring it? Everybody's got their own. How I do it is Planet Wave / D'Addario self-clipping locking tuners. I don't even
See, I've
have
never
to,
tried those before.
dude, I don't even have to clip them. They fall off.
That's so cool.
You just turn it and it goes click, and the end of the string just falls right off. Pretty awesome. They're worth, I think they're like $70 or something like that.
That's it. That's cool.
Yeah, they're not very expensive. They're worth the money for sure.
As long as you don't do any kind of like luthier knot bullshit, like, ugh.
Yeah.
I've talked about that before too, where you like run the string through and then like wrap it over and bend it and then start it to. Don't do that.
No, the
I've had so
string
many
holds
guitars come through
itself
here
in.
that have had that on there,
Yeah.
and I'm like cursing the person that did. I'm like, you stupid, because I'm having to like unwrap it and pull it. It's just so much harder. And they call it a luthier knot, and I'm like, I don't know any luthier that actually does that.
Nope.
And if they
Nope.
do, I wouldn't go to them.
Every credible luthier I've seen online does a string through, like one pull, and then wrap over the top, like just winds down, and the tension drags the wraps down over top of your, over top of the string coming through the hole, and they're fine. um Speaking of maintenance and DIY, looks like Stealth has a video coming up of a custom K with a K custom tube amp he built a long time ago, and he's got to do a
Nice.
little bit of it's based on a 64 Princeton reverb, and he's going to do a video on that, so everybody be on the lookout for that. That'll be really cool. Let's see. You know what I hate is the coiled punk rock coiled strings at the end. Like, I don't have
Oh
time to
yeah.
clip my strings, so I just coil them in circles, and then it ding ding
Amarillo.
ding 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 ding. It's like,
Oh, well, Tom
dude,
Morello does he just leaves the string ends like flailing everywhere. You're talking about where they like coil them at the end and they're
oh
giant
my god.
circles. Yeah.
Either way, clip the
Either way, it's
string,
terrible. Mm,
right? I
yeah.
mean, that's my hot take. Clip your strings off, folks. It's worth it. Jonathan, what do you got coming up, brother? You just dropped a video today. It's really good. Everybody should go watch it. Little Sonic cake action. Really funny. I literally almost spit coffee out. Like, there's one joke in there and everybody will know what it is when they go watch it, but I just like freaking, my wife's like, "Are you all right?" It was funny. It was really funny. So that I was not expecting that at all.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah. So the Sonic Cake, they made a guitar, believe it or
Yeah.
not. So the same people that made the Pocket Master made a guitar. It's really, really good. You should go check that out. What else do I got? I'm checking my channel right now.
You did one yesterday too, right? Oh, I know what we should shout out. Everybody go over to the YouTube channel Chug Nerd.
Absolutely.
Actually, I'm going to link it in the chat for me. But uh, DJ over at Chug Nerd finally got his Dude Alert pedal that I sent over his way. And he did a little unboxing and short demo. And then there's going to be a broader demo video of that. So he's actually going to do 2 videos with it. Let me copy this link and drop it in right here. Anyway, what do you got coming up there, Jonathan?
So now that I got this pulled up, so I'm doing a remake of a video that I did a while back about the Gitto pedal board because I did not do a very good job on that. And
The snap one, the one with the clips.
yeah. So it's a weird situation because the company reached out to me and they're like, "Hey, would you kind of redo it because you didn't really get the point of it?" And I went back and I'm like, you know what, that's fair because I thought at first I really didn't do that good of a job. So that'll be coming up soon where I can show everybody how to actually use it. I have a bass that was sent to me recently, right here, matter of fact.
Oh,
And it's by my new friends over at Stritch. If
Stretch is
you
coming
watch my
up.
Stritch video, yeah, they really are. They're just, and if you don't know who Stritch are, they're a brand on Amazon. That's where I've found them, where they found me, I guess, from Amazon. And I was like genuinely impressed with the guitar that they sent me. It's just like a Strat copy, but oh my god, it's so pretty.
Yeah.
It plays really well out of the box,
Nice.
and the bass is no different. I mean, it looks really cool.
Yeah.
It plays great out of the box, and it sounds really good.
Nice.
No setup on this thing at all. I tuned it up, and it was good to go.
Stritch has the big pedal board. Brian at Searching for Tone has done a couple of Stritch videos, I believe, and they have he's done at least 2 pedal board videos where he had one and then he got the big one, which is like a 28 by 16 or something. It's huge, and that's the one I want for my big board that'll fit my Podgo and fit everything. My GTX 100 foot switch. But they have some decent stuff for sure. So shout out to Stretch. That's awesome, man. I'm looking forward to that.
And then, just last little bit here, I have an idea for. So Joyo reached back out to me, and they're sending me like a ton of stuff. Not to
Really?
brag. I'm not saying that as like a brag thing.
Yeah,
I
no,
promise you.
that's exciting.
But yeah, they were like, "Oh, you want to do this, and then also pick like 2 of these and do this." And I'm like, this. So I think I'm gonna have a week at some point coming up soon where it's just nothing but Joyo. It'll probably be
Joyo
one day
week.
because I could do a video a day of Joyo stuff.
That's
So
awesome.
it'll be cool.
Yeah. Did you happen, I mean, no spoilers, I guess, if you don't want to, but did you happen to get that tweed in a box pedal that they have?
No,
Okay.
I'm not.
That's more up my alley than yours anyway.
Yeah, more high gain. Oh, I
Yes.
like a tweet sound every so often.
Well, guys in pink rooms need to play high gain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's that. You got anything interesting coming up?
Yes, I am going to next week. I'm going to try and put out a video of a sort of I've been talking about it for a while, but I did the Robert Baker 80s licks course, and I've been talking with him a little bit via Instagram, and he actually, super cool move on his part, reached out and was like, "Hey, I saw a comment where you finished the 80s course. What'd you think about it?" And I was like, "Oh, we're doing this. Okay." And then, so I got to like kind of give my thoughts. Full disclosure, I'm a disciple, so I didn't have anything really negative to say about the course. But I'm going to kind of review the course and talk about some of the parts where maybe I felt a little downtrodden in attempting to do. I mean, he does a great job, but sometimes playing the lick to tempo is can be an impossibility for me, or maybe even others. Might not be the only, blues dad trying to learn 80s licks, but but what I do love about his courses is I can always garner something. There's
Right.
always something that falls easily under my fingers, and then I get to add that to, you know, my sort of repertoire of abilities. And so anyway, I'm hoping next week I can do that video because I would really like to get that out. And I have permission to use like clips from his lesson course. So I'm not gonna do anything too crazy, but he said use whatever you want. And
Sweet.
so that'll be fun. And then I'm sort of plotting the next Tone Deep episode. I'm kind of thinking of doing it with a bunch of my fellow smaller channel buddies, you know, and just talking about their, you know, giving everybody, you know, 10 minutes to tell their backstory and how they ended up doing guitar on YouTube, and um, kind of doing that like interview. Um, that will take a little longer probably, but yeah, those two things. And if you haven't yet, I did make my pedal board build video featuring the JHS overdrive preamp, which is my favorite overdrive pedal uh, that I've owned. Um, it's really really good. It's like meaty. It's I
Nice.
like, you know how a tube screamer is like thin. It
Yeah,
like
yeah, okay.
cuts all your bass. So it's just like really
Hmm.
mid-rangey or high top end. But and then like the Klon is like all mid-range and gain. And then this overdrive preamp or a DOD is like it doesn't cut the bass like that. And I really like it for that reason. So um
You know,
yeah. Anyway,
cool.
that's
I
what's
have
going
another
on.
another. Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say I have another chat here
Yeah.
that says late on the previous topic, but I had a great experience picking up a '95 made in Japan Jackson Rhodes Standard recently on Facebook Marketplace. Now, who could have ever initiated that transaction? It's RG Shredder over there. It's a new friend of mine that I made, selling
Oh,
him a '95 made in Japan Jackson Rhodes Standard recently. Hey,
nice.
buddy, how you doing?
What up, RG? Um,
Yeah, I'll give RG Shredder some love. He said he wanted to start a YouTube channel at some point, like start putting videos out and stuff. So y'all go build him up.
do it, do it.
Yeah, do it.
I
He's a
will
great
hold
guy.
on. Let's just find it right here. RG Shredder. RG, I happen to hang out with literally the coolest group of guitar YouTubers um known to man. So one thing I've noticed, Jonathan and Stealth and Keith and BCG and all these guys and Ted, and it's like everybody is really supportive. Everybody wants you to do good. I'm having trouble finding his channel at the moment. So we'll get the link. Maybe next week we'll drop him in there and make sure that we give him a little bit of love.
Be prepared, man. You're gonna have some new subscribers coming your way, and they want some content. He says he's loving the Jackson, which is good to hear.
Nice.
And nothing up yet, but you better get to planning because we're gonna try to send some friends your way.
Yeah, man, make them bids, dude. Nobody
Yeah.
nobody cares, okay? We all just like we care that you
Have
do it.
fun.
We don't care what it looks like. Like it's just make it. You know,
Exactly.
we're only here for a short amount of time. You might as well have some fun and have some friends along the way. So,
Exactly.
all right, bro.
Well, I think that's gonna do it. I think it's getting to be about that time. I don't have a
Yes,
watch
sir.
on. What am I doing?
It is. It's a freckle past the hair over here
Freckle
by
past
my
the hair is what they always say. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, last little chord from my Pocket Master dies. I guess.
Yeah. Thank you to everybody over on Jonathan's channel and everybody on mine for showing up. Um, I appreciate y'all, and we'll catch you next week. on Only.
Maybe on Wednesday.
Maybe even on Wednesday if we're lucky. Yeah.
Maybe if I don't have another work meeting. It's my fault as always. They want to schedule them Wednesday at 1:30, and
Well,
I'm like,
listen,
no.
maybe Thursday is the move, dude. I don't think we ran
Maybe.
up against any live streams. I know that 60 Cycle Hum ran a video about an hour before this. So we'll just keep an eye on this, and if this is a better time for, you know, people to be able to be here, then maybe that's the move, you know.
Let's keep the door open. We'll
Yeah.
say either next Wednesday or next Thursday, depending on how things go.
Yep.
Make sure you follow us on our socials too. We'll try to post some stuff there. Instagram, you know, obviously here on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, follow on Facebook. I should have links in the description of all my videos, even these live streams. Sean may, if not, you need to do that, buddy.
I'm pretty terrible. I think I do a decent job on YouTube, but I'm pretty terrible about that. I'm trying.
Yeah, I'm not very good at posting on Instagram and stuff.
I
It's
definitely
thumbnails
don't
and
post
everything.
anything on Facebook. I had to get off Facebook. Got too hot for me over there, so but I try to post on Instagram before we go live every week. So that'll be my main way, and then I always do a community post on YouTube as well. So yeah, man.
Cool. Well, again, thanks everybody in the chats on both channels, and we'll catch you guys either next Wednesday or next Thursday. Still 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Y'all make sure you're there. I'm Jonathan from the Electric Flamingo channel.
I'm Sean from Sean Plays Guitar.
Y'all take care.
All right.